and I am back with another episode of True Crime of Criminal Minds. Before we get started, I have two areas of housekeeping. Number one, we need to pray for Nicholas Brendan. A couple of weeks ago, he was in the hospital. He has some cardiac issues. His sister posted on Instagram that he had some tachycardia, which just means an increased heart rate. And he has some other problems with his back and substance abuse. And he really needs our prayers. Really needs our prayers. He's Xander from Buffy. And he's also Kevin Lynch on Criminal Minds. Housekeeping number two. Guys, I need subscribers. This book is amazing. I'm not giving up my copy because I love it so much. But when I get 100 subscribers, I am going to randomly select somebody to win this book. It is a Time Life book, and it is chock full of true crime articles from modern day to history to DNA to science to police. It's got it all. So when I get to 100 subscribers, guys, someone is going to win this book. So do me a favor and subscribe. Thank you. Today's episode is Season 1, Episode 6, and it is called LDSK. The BAU goes to Des Plaines, Illinois, to profile a shooter. And somebody calls him a sniper. And she's quickly corrected, oh, we don't call them snipers anymore. Well, why don't we call them snipers? Because the public has a bad perception about the FBI's track record with snipers. That's the first reason. The second reason is because snipers are trained military or law enforcement. Guys that just go up on a hill or up in a tower and start shooting, they are not snipers. To be a sniper, you have to be trained to be a sniper. Even the guy I'm going to talk about today was not a sniper. He was a sharpshooter. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But right now, I'm going to talk about the unsub in this episode. He was shooting people not to kill them, but to maim them. So the team came to the conclusion that it was a case of hero homicide. Now, I'm not going to go into hero homicide today either, but it's basically you hurt somebody in order to save them and get the praise and accolades from saving a life. I'm sure we're going to have plenty other chances to talk about hero homicide. But today, we're going to talk about the Texas Tower Sniper in 1966 at UT Austin. Charles Joseph Whitman. My sources for this episode: Wikipedia, Encyclopedia Brittanica, drugfree.com, history.com, behindthetower.com, AustinAmericaStatesman.com, dailytexan.com, and WECT.com. The Encyclopedia Brittanica defines mass murder as one or more murders happening at the same time and place. So you see, an LDSK and a serial killer are two totally different things. A long-distance serial killer is not actually a serial killer because he is killing everybody at once. This guy's a little of both. This was not the first mass murder shooting in America, but it was the first one that was covered by the radio and the news outlets as it happened. Charles Joseph Whitman was born on June 24th, 1941 in Lake Worth, Florida. He was born into an abusive family. His father was very abusive to his mother and him and his brothers. And his dad was an avid gun collector and hunter and taught his sons how to shoot, how to butcher a deer, all that kind of stuff. He desperately wanted to get out of that house. That's how bad the abuse was, and he just wanted out. So when he graduated from high school at the age of 18, he signed up for the Marines. He didn't tell his dad he was going to do this. So he goes home, signed up for the Marines. Dad calls the Marines. He can't go serve in the Marines. And guess what the Marines said? Yeah, sure. So he went to the Marines, and then he got a scholarship to UT Austin in the mechanical engineering department through a program called NESEP, Naval Enlisted Servicemen and Education Program. After he graduated from that program, he would be allowed to become an officer. He gets in this program, and everything's going fine, and then he decides that he's gonna poach a deer. I don't know where he poached the deer from, but he poached a deer, took it back to the campus, and butchered it in the bathtub in the dorm bathroom. Somebody saw his license plate and called it in, and they found him, and they fined him $100. So after that, things seem to have gone back to normal. He's in school, but he has a reputation as a practical joker. And he actually said to a friend one day, jokingly, you know, a guy could go up in that clock tower and hold off an army before somebody could get up there to him. I guess he thought that was funny, or maybe he didn't. Maybe he meant it, and his friends thought he was kidding because of his reputation as a practical joker. Not long after that, he meets his wife in February 1962. She is his first real girlfriend. They got married on August 17th, 1962, which just happened to be his parents' wedding anniversary, which I don't get. Your wedding day is supposed to be your day. But I guess he wanted to share it with his parents. To each his own, I guess, right? So, as you do when you fall in love and you've got this crazy love hormones going on in your head, you don't think straight. His grades started to drop. So because his grades started to drop, he lost his scholarship. So the remaining 5 years of his enlistment was served out at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. Camp Lejeune is named after Lieutenant General John Archer Lejeune. What tickles me to no end, you know, my fandom stuff. This is Star Trek one, though. Jonathan Archer was the first captain of the Star Trek Enterprise. And I wonder if that's where they got their name, from this Lieutenant General from the Marines. It would be really cool, and I'm going to have to look in on that, and I will let you know what I find. So at Camp Lejeune, he was promoted to Lance Corporal. And not too much later, he got in trouble again. This time he got court-martialed for gambling, usury, having his own personal firearm, and threatening a Marine over a $30 loan that had a $15 interest fee. I learned a new word, y'all. Usury. I had never heard that word before. Or if I have, I didn't know what it meant, so I went one ear and out the other. It is the name for a loan shark. Loan sharking is usury. He got bumped down to private. He got 30 days confinement and 90 days hard labor. But they didn't discharge him. He got an honorable discharge in December of 1964. After his discharge from the Marines, he went back to UT Austin to the architectural engineering program. He desperately did not want to be like his dad. He said he hit his wife twice and he hated himself for it. He also abused amphetamines, and his drug of choice was Dexedrine. Dexedrine is a stimulant drug used for ADHD and narcolepsy. And it is a controlled substance with some nasty, nasty side effects. Increased heart rate, heart failure, panic, delirium, psychoses, bad side effects. Back in the 60s, they gave this drug out like it was candy. Morning sickness, weight loss, depression, and the military used it as an enhancement aid. He used it as a study aid to keep him awake, to help him study. They found in his house 11 prescription bottles. Prescriptions were written by 7 different doctors, and they were filled at 5 different pharmacies. So he knew how to get around the system. In 1965, he started thinking that there was something wrong with him. He journaled that he was having unusual and irrational thoughts. He also started having very bad headaches. So in 1965, he saw no less than 5 doctors, and nobody could tell him what was wrong with him. So he was prescribed Valium by one doctor and told to go to the campus therapist. Then he was referred to UT Austin Medical Center, and on March 29th, 1966, he saw Dr. Maurice Dean Heatley. And Dr. Heatley wrote in his notes that Charles Whitman told him that he was thinking about going up in the clock tower with a deer rifle and shooting people. Now, I don't know how it was in 1966, but now we have mandatory reporting. And I've been a nurse since the 90s, so a long time we've had mandatory reporting. If anybody says they want to hurt themselves or others, or has hurt themselves or someone else, health professionals are mandatory reporters. We have to report it. So I doubt that there was mandatory reporting back then, but even so, I would try to get somebody help if they came to me and said they wanted to climb up in a tower and shoot a bunch of people. But let's not judge after the fact. We don't know the whole story, but it's kind of scary, or it's scary to me. So he's 25 years old. He starts having headaches. He starts going to all these different doctors trying to find out. He just knows something is wrong and he wants to know what's wrong. And he carries 3 types of medications with him at all times. His Dexedrine to help him stay awake and help him study. His Valium for his frayed nerves, so Valium is his tranquilizer, and then Excedrin for his headaches. So he's got an upper, a downer, and pain medicine. And this is how he's coasting through life because nobody can help him. In 1966, his parents separated. So he brought his mom and his youngest brother from Florida to Texas to be close to him. On July 31st, 1966, at 6:45 p.m., he started writing his suicide note. Y'all, this is the weirdest suicide note I've ever heard of. He had demands. Who has demands? It's usually like, I'm sorry I did this, I couldn't take it anymore, please forgive me. No, this man had demands. First one, autopsy. Because he at least wanted somebody to reap the benefits of finding out what was wrong with him. 2, to be cremated. 3, he wanted all of his bills paid with the insurance money that would come from his death. And the extra money he wanted donated to a mental health organization anonymously. His other demand was for his dog to go live with his in-laws. He wrote that he loved his wife dearly. He left a note on his mom's body that said that he's very upset about what he did. He said the reason why he killed them was to spare them the embarrassment of what he was about to do, and to take them away from their suffering in this world. Now, I'm not getting ahead of myself. This was his suicide note that was written before the murders took place. After midnight, he drives to his mother's house, stabs her to death. Then he goes back home, and at 3 o'clock, stabs his wife to death. Then, on the morning of August 1st, he rented a hand cart to carry his equipment in. He made a bunch of errands. He cashed $250 of bad checks at the bank. Then he went to the hardware store. I'm gonna have to read this, y'all, because I don't know anything about guns. He bought a .30 caliber universal M1 carbine, 2 more ammo magazines, 8 boxes of ammo. And he told the clerk he was going to hunt wild hogs. Then he went to the gun store. And at the gun store, he bought 4 more magazines, 6 more boxes of ammunition, and gun cleaning solvents. Then he went to Sears. And at Sears, he bought a Sears model 60 12 gauge semi-automatic shotgun. He packed 7 different guns, bottled water, food, toilet paper, coffee, vitamins, rope, lighter fluid, deodorant, matches, transistor radio, razor, and a machete. This guy was a Boy Scout. He was prepared. The one I think is the funniest is a deodorant, because can't be stinky while you kill people, right? So he put on coveralls, so he was disguised as like a workman, and he had a footlocker on a handcart kind of disguised like equipment, so it made him look like he was supposed to be there. So he got to the tower at approximately 11:35. He went up to the 28th floor where the observation deck is, and there's a reception area. He bludgeoned the receptionist to death. Then he shot 2 people that were inside the building. Then he went out onto the tower, and he put the guns all the way around the clock tower. He shot for 96 minutes. It was a 5-block radius that he shot up for 96 minutes before anybody could get to him. He killed 14 people and wounded 31 in 96 minutes. And Sergeant Ramiro Martinez shot and killed him. He was embalmed before his autopsy. That's not how you do that. They didn't find any drugs in his system at all. Probably because he'd already been embalmed. He had a joint funeral with his mother in Lake Worth, Florida, and then was buried in West Palm Beach. He asked to be cremated, but he was not cremated. He was buried with full military honors, and his casket was draped with the American flag. The governor of Texas, Governor Connolly, commissioned a task force to look into what could have caused his behavior on that day. The Connolly Commission had neurologists, pathologists, psychologists, psychiatrists, neurosurgeons, all these brain doctors to try to figure out what happened. In his autopsy, they found a pecan-sized brain tumor. It was putting pressure on the part of the brain that causes anxiety and fight or flight. Here's what some of the experts said. Michael Koenig is an expert on brain lesions. He said, unlikely that it initiated a psychotic rage, but could have tweaked his personality to be a bit more aggressive or a bit less empathetic. N. Bradley Keel is an associate professor at Baylor College of Medicine, and he said it could have affected behavior, unlikely the sole reason. Gary Laverne, who is an author that wrote the book Sniper in the Tower in 1997, says, for 48 hours he made serial decisions in a correct order leading to the accomplishment of a goal. His actions speak for themselves. So the Connolly Commission conclusion was he took stimulant drugs to assist him in keeping academic deadlines. The net effect of this was further loss of efficiency, a decrease in clarity of thinking at these times. However, there was no evidence of acute or chronic drug toxicity on August 1st, 1966. It is the opinion of this task force that the relationship between a brain tumor and his actions on the last day of his life cannot be established with clarity. So that's it, guys. That is the UT Austin shooting. And remember, watch LDSK. You will not regret it. I think it's the best episode of season 1. If I think of a different one, I will let you know. But as far as I can think right now, LDSK is the best, especially the ending. The ending is perfect. So I hope you enjoyed it, guys. And I will see you next time for more True Crimes Criminal Minds. Have a great week. Subscribe. Comment. Hit the bell for notifications. Hit that like. I need help here, guys. Bye. This was the very first time our country got to know about a major event that was happening while it was happening. Did I say happening too many times?